J.D. Vance was sitting down with Sean Hannity. He had some things to say about our economy.
Maybe are still suffering from the Biden-Harris economic hangover. Sure. When do we really see the engine of the economy start to take off?
Well, some of it's already started, Sean, but some of it is going to take a long time because we inherited a disaster. We inherited the highest peacetime debt and deficits in the history of the United States of America. We inherited the worst inflation crisis in at least the last 40 years, and I think probably longer. So a lot of Americans, when we took over, they were struggling. They either were underemployed or they didn't have a job altogether. Their wages had been stagnant. And the President of the United States said the most important thing that we have to fix is for people to be able to live a good life.
It's empty talk. J.D. Vance, they inherited a bad crisis. And did you hear the time frame for when it's going to be great? Sometime soon. Who knows? It's just going to happen. But the problem is they inherited a crisis. Last I heard, Donald Trump was a magic man. Donald Trump was going to get things happening so fast. It's going to be immediate. It's going to be within 24 hours. It's going to be so fast. But not now. Maybe the next question should be, I understand you guys said this was going to happen in a day. So now that it's been all year and things have actually gotten worse, do you have an answer yet? Or should we have not believed you in the first place? Why did you lie to us? Why didn't you tell us it's going to take a full year now that you're saying it's going to take a full year, or maybe even to the next year, or maybe the year after that? At least there's progress, because at least J.D. Vance said that there's issues, because I keep hearing from them that it's a golden age and everyone's living their best life and nothing has ever been better for Americans ever in history. It can't be both things at the same time. Tom Emmer is on the line of saying that everything is wonderful. That is despite the fact that J.D. Vance just said Joe Biden made it really bad.
So one of the things that the administration seems to be doing is trying to work out some new deals on tariffs to lower the price of things like bananas, coffee, and other things. Wouldn't you suggest, in terms of affordability, if that is actually an issue, that tariffs made it less affordable for Americans?
Actually, Andrew, while I appreciate the way your perspective on the question, the fact is it was Democrats under Joe Biden who pumped $2 trillion into the economy with something called the American Rescue Plan, which economists have called the original sin. They threw the economy into the ditch. Right. Because of that, double-digit inflation like we hadn't seen in 40 years. Donald Trump inherited this broken economy. He's been fixing it. I'll tell you what.
The question is whether you think the question is whether you think the tariffs are helping it.
I think he has been winning on the tariffs, without a doubt.
Winning in terms of the price for Americans that they're paying for goods?
Donald Trump and his administration have driven down costs on groceries. Gas is at a 5-year low, Andrew.
Then why are we making new deals why are we making new deals on coffee and bananas and other things?
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but it's not a one-way street. This is about giving our producers access to markets that they have been denied over the years. This is about fairness. This is about putting Americans first. I think Donald Trump has been negotiating better than any president in our history in terms of trying to make sure that Americans not only have the things that they want and they can afford them, but that we have access to other markets.
When you get asked a question that you can't answer, you just blow right by it. You notice he didn't answer the question about coffee and bananas that Scott Bessent and Donald Trump I covered it yesterday. They both said they're going to reverse some tariffs on some things so that they can get some prices down, which if you're listening clearly enough, you'd understand that means they're admitting that the tariffs that they placed on those items make things more expensive, which is in direct contradiction to the things that they've been preaching all year, even during last year when he was campaigning, that tariffs are going to make everything great. And of course, it's capped with Tom Emmer saying that everything is down. How is it that everything is down if they need to change some tariffs in order to get prices down on things? How is it that you can go to the gas station, see the price, and then listen to Tom Emmer's dumbass go on TV and tell you that what you just saw is not what you saw? That is right after Donald Trump said that if you say what you saw is what you saw, that it's a hoax and you're a con man. They're losing the argument. It's pretty obvious that they're losing the argument. But the problem is they don't care that they're losing the argument. I mentioned Marjorie Taylor Greene earlier. She won't cross Donald Trump, but she'll cross them on these types of topics. Here she is crossing them again.
Gaslighting the people and trying to tell them that prices have come down is not helping. It's actually infuriating people, because people know what they're paying at the grocery store. They know what they're paying for their kids' clothes and school supplies. They know what they're paying for their electricity bills. And so that approach does not work. We need compassion and show that we care about the American people. and show that we are in the trenches with them on what they're going through. That's first and foremost. You don't gaslight them, you don't lecture them, and you don't deny what's happening.
She's calling out the gaslighting. I wonder if she's going to call out the fact that the gaslighting is coming from the top. I wonder if she's going to point out the fact that people are frustrated with Donald Trump because he continues to gaslight them and tell them that what she just said is hoax material, that they're conning folks, that things really aren't as bad as they are. That is, until we're in an interview where we can say things are worse than what we just said they were, so that we can then say it was Biden's fault. But Fox News here was actually pointing out the dire situation here based off of people's jobs and also the price of things.
And Bill, I think, we can show our viewers on the chart, really the heart of what Vice President Vance is talking about is this fact that you do have inflation. You can see on this chart here, inflation outpacing wage growth for lower and middle class income. What do you make of it?
Well, I think the vice president was right. I think somewhere in an interview he said the Democrats are right that it's a crisis of affordability.
As we saw there, middle and lower class income wage increases aren't keeping pace with inflation. We've heard that a lot, except we kept hearing it from those crazy libs that actually want to represent folks that weren't, donors or rich people that were paying people to ignore everyone else and exploit them for more of their money and make sure that their wages don't go up. I remember there was minimum wage legislation that was supposed to raise it, and they said that was like some socialist craziness, communism, Marxism. They said anything that they could about anyone having a livable wage, or maybe even housing prices or rent prices, actually doing something that is workable for people. But they kept telling you that McDonald's and Burger King jobs are only for teenagers. That is, unless you go to your local McDonald's or Burger King and notice there's a 45-year-old, 50-year-old, 60-year-old working. I went to a Subway sandwich shop, and I like, ever since they've been talking this nonsense, I've been very consciously trying to notice the types of folks that work these jobs. There was two, I wouldn't even call them elderly because I don't like saying it that way, but they were definitely over 60 years old working this Subway shop. But they want to keep telling you that the wages are great and these entry-level jobs are only for your 16-year-old kid trying to get by and, maybe buy a couple video games and a basketball on the weekend, that's all that these jobs are for. So since, actual life is outpacing the pricing of things, which also includes things like healthcare and people having children and all that type of stuff, the next step is to start ignoring those things. Ignore how bad the job market is. Ignore how bad unemployment has become. It's been months since this administration came in and dismantled the measuring stick for things like employment numbers, job numbers, and all the economic numbers coming from the Department of Labor statistics. So here's Kevin Hassett. See if you can guess how long this whole blackout will be and if we're going to get the numbers for October.
And the household survey wasn't conducted in October, so we're going to get half the employment report. We'll get the jobs part, but we won't get the unemployment rate, and that'll just be for 1 month. But yeah, it is true that we probably will maybe be able to concoct something, but we'll never actually know for sure what the unemployment rate was in October.
They're never going to know what the job numbers are. We're never going to be able to figure this out. You know why? It's because of those damn Democrats. Those damn Democrats kept screwing things up. Now everything in our power for the past year means nothing. And the fact that Kevin Hassett said it isn't just a one-off. It's part of the talking points.
Month of October, one could make the argument that the shutdown impacted October business. So, is that a moment in time, a look at what happened in October because things were shut down and companies couldn't get permits and IPOs couldn't go public and we couldn't do filings, et cetera, et cetera. That in and of itself dictated the economic activity of the month of October. And that was a slice in time. Does it change come November, December, January?
Yeah, you don't get that time back. That's exactly what I believe that you are saying. Sometimes it's too late to get accurate data points. And like I said, the household surveys were not able to be done, and businesses submitted the passive information. So is it a little too late? It's similar to the Fed a little too late on these interest rate drops. I'm looking forward to the December report on that they will again step up, as the president has oftentimes asked them to pay attention to. But again, because of the Democratic shutdown, we don't have that accurate data for them to make a good decision. But I believe that the Fed needs to cut the interest rates again in December to really prop up this economy that the president has been so forceful in by bringing the trillions of dollars, by the Department of Labor really looking at the skilled workforce. And now this is one more way for the Fed to help out the American people because of this Democratic shutdown. 43 days going on 44. This is detrimental to the markets and to the American people.
It's those pesky Democrats again and their government shutdown that didn't allow these guys to do their job as far as show you what is that happened. So as Kevin Hassett said, they're going to have to concoct something. That was always the plan anyway. They just need to have some kind of cover to make sure that they said they're concocting it because it's someone else's fault, as usual. But since she talked about the trillions of dollars that Donald Trump has coming in and that the Fed should then now start cutting more rates, I'm not sure if they know people realize this. If the Fed is cutting rates, it's to help out because people are in bad situations. But it's a golden era. He's bringing in $21 trillion. Yet we need to cut the Fed rate so we can help Americans struggling during the golden era. Just listen to them for longer than 5 seconds and you'll see how little sense they make.